My name is Jakob Esterowitz, and I'm a sophomore here at BU, and I'm the co-founder of Orobor.
My name is Jonah Dickson. I'm a master's student here at BU, and I'm the co-founder of Orobor.
I ran a clothing brand when I got to college, and I was selling clothes like t-shirts and sweatshirts around campus and online. And when I was talking to my manufacturer overseas, there were a lot of issues regarding like where the clothes were coming from and what they were made of, because he didn't really want to tell me. So then I started doing more research on my own, and that's when I found out that like 10% of the world's global carbon emissions are coming from polyester clothing production, as they're typically derived from oil that's extracted from the ground. And then also another problem we came across is the tennis string issue, because there's over 24 million pounds of polyester strings that end up in landfills each year, and these strings stay there for over 500 years. So every string that's ever been created is still in a landfill somewhere.
So growing up in California, I think I always had an interest in being sustainable and sustainable practices as well, especially growing up playing tennis and being the Division I team here at BU. Jakob introduced me to the issue within the tennis industry, how strings are being thrown away and not being reused in any manner, and I contribute to this issue as well as Jakob, so it's a really personal problem that we're both set out to solve and excited to tackle. Initially, my parents made me play tennis and I hated it. But I remember I watched a tennis match and I instantly fell in love and began to play it to try and reach the highest level I possibly could, which led me here to BU. Playing the team here for the past 4 years has been an amazing experience, how I met Jakob and how we came to this idea partly. And playing at BU has been awesome. The community support around athletics has been great. And being in the team here has made me some of my best friends for life and has taught me a lot about how to go about being in the real world.
I started playing tennis when I was 3. My family was always into tennis. My older sister plays college tennis, and my younger sister plays college sports as well, and my mom did. And I've been playing since I was 3, and I'm like Jonah, I've always loved tennis. And I actually started playing Division III tennis at Amherst College for my whole first year. And then I wanted something a little bit more and to be in the city. So I came to Boston University and started playing on the team last spring. And like Jonah, I've met all my friends and now a co-founder for my company. So we identified both problems, both the tennis string problem and the polyester clothing production problem. And we were thinking, like, why not solve both problems at once? So we started doing more research into the sectors of fashion as well as tennis strings, and we talked to professors across the countries with much more experience than us. And then we came up with turning tennis strings into a polyester fabric that we can use for clothing manufacturing.
We're using a patented chemical recycling process that we have the exclusive rights to with a professor from Washington State University named Hongfei Lin. And we've gotten really good results from the initial testing, so we're excited to implement that process and create our fabric, which we'll implement as well. So how we started collecting strings was actually pretty interesting and a funny way to start. We started cold calling places just around the country and within our local area specifically, and Jakob and I would go drive and pick up the strings ourselves and bring them back to our places. And we realized there has to be a more efficient way to do this, so we started out reaching out to organizations that had large networks of tennis string locations and just continuing to cold call. So now we're working with a couple nonprofit organizations like Recycle Balls in the US, so we have access to their string locations. And as well, the cold calling obviously worked for some, so we're partnering with them as well, because the tennis community to us has been super tight-knit, which has been awesome to experience. They're currently sending string all to my house here in Boston.
We have like partnerships with over 2,500 different collection locations between the US and the Czech Republic. And actually we're working with someone in the UK to start a collection program there as well. So we'll hopefully jump into 3,000 over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we've probably collected a little over 5,000 pounds so far.
Something that we're excited about in the near future, especially this summer in particular, we're working with a couple niche tennis brands that are excited about our testing the market and using our sustainable fabric in their clothing. Another
thing we're excited about in the near future is we finished our trials to create our first lines of fiber, and we created this green fiber, which we'll showcase at the New Venture competition. But the fibers are really the building blocks for everything else in clothing production. So you need a strong fiber to create a good yarn, and you need a strong yarn to create a good shirt. So we've proven that we created strong fibers that will be able to have strong enough properties to create full fabrics. So we're hoping within the next 1 to 2 months, we're going to be collaborating with UMass Lowell to create yarn. And then we actually are going to partner with Draper Knitting Company, which is one of the last fabric mills left in Massachusetts. So we're going to work together to keep everything in Massachusetts, and it's pretty cool. It's all going to be within like a 20-mile radius versus like the 10,000s of miles that clothing usually ships across the world. The fabric we're going to create compared to like virgin polyester, which is polyester that's made from oil, which is what you would buy in any store that's non-recycled, we're able to reduce the CO2 emissions per square meter of fabric by 69%. And we're also able to use 96% less water than typical fabric production. So we're starting with like turning tennis strings into fabrics because it's so personal for us, and we've been playing tennis our whole life. So it's easy for us with the connections as well as like being the firsthand or being part of the problem, I would say, because we're so close to it. Like we know it very well and we're able to move really fast. But one of the larger issues in the world right now is textile to textile recycling, because only 1% of textiles are recycled and they all end up in landfills. And in some places like in Africa, there's miles of it just covering the ocean, and it's harming these like different ecosystems. So after we sort of solve this problem and show that our model works in recycling, we want to move to textile recycling as well. Because we've already shown in the lab that we can recycle textiles. We just want to start with tennis string because it's what we know best.
Our teammates have been super supportive about the idea. They put us in touch with a lot of their stringers at home or people they know in the tennis industry from where they grew up playing. As well, also our stringer here, who's one of our best friends, who I actually live with, he gives us all the string that we cut out.
I think they're starting to believe it's more than just like a little project, so they get really into it. They help us sort the string sometimes. Like each of them have different backgrounds, so like our finance teammates will help us sometimes with our finances, and then we have a teammate who's going into patent law, so he helps us with a lot of that stuff. So really getting help on all ends from our closest friends.
I think the Summer Accelerator is a great opportunity to get hands-on mentorship, as well being around people who are trying to push their idea to new heights. I think just being around an environment where people are trying to succeed and push each other and be a part of a community that's trying to grow is an amazing opportunity. And I think everybody would be crazy to turn it down and be a part of such a great program. When I was practicing with players who were intense and serious about their goals and wanting to achieve great things, I always play better versus people who are maybe a bit lackadaisical about what they want. So I think being around other co-founders who are serious about what they're doing and pushing to achieve those goals, I think naturally you rise to their level and your level together gets higher as a group.